Hello, in this video I'll talk to you about Wednesday, November 20th, 2013. That was yesterday. I went to my computer friend's house and I helped him with the steering wheel. He was fixing it, his car. And then at 1 p.m. approximately, I walked back over here to this house and I found Rosa, my mother, sitting outside, and apparently she didn't have the key. Now the only reason I had left my friend's house was because I thought my mother was not going to get up to get my son from school, right? So I came to do all of that stuff. But I didn't even know she had gone to the doctor's. And she told me that the driver told her, I could pass by McDonald's or something to buy you some food. What a nice young man. And she said, no, just drop me off. And then he had to help her get down because her legs wouldn't work. And then what happens is nobody ever gave a hug to my mother. That's why she's so emotionally disturbed. Her dad was a very cold. All he would do is pat her on the head. He would, when she was little. And after that, he wouldn't demonstrate any love. And he was always serious. So serious that nobody would ask him any questions. In fact, the teaching in our family was, don't ask any questions. So I was just quiet as a kid. But now I talk, because people need to learn about weird families like ours. So the next thing that happened was my mother didn't accept food from the man, the driver. And, hi girl, everything's safe, huh? You can, you will, you must. Every time my dog comes, I pet her. And I tell her, you can, you will, you must. So what happened, the driver says, Senora, it's just that your face doesn't look so well, Senora. I think you need to eat or drink something. But my mother said, no, you just go. And she didn't accept the money. She said, I don't have any money. And then he says, I could buy it for you, Senora, I could buy it. But my mother is not accustomed to letting people do nice things for her. And she was taught to be very proud. And when she told me this, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, this is before the fight, she and I fought that day, but it was all her fighting. But anyway, I told her, nothing belongs to that young man. It belongs to God. Even if it has $100 or $10 in his pocket, it belongs to God. It doesn't belong to him. So you should accept. The Good Samaritan. Be like the Good Samaritan. My church would say, be like the Good Samaritan. And so I found her, and then she came inside, and then she went to lie down, and she stayed there for a while. So my son arrived. Then I went to get my daughter. Then my son, my dog, and I went back to the computer friend's house walking. My mother was going to go with my daughter and my son out, right? But Rosa, my mother, gave some nuts to my son. But then she began to correct him and told him that he wasn't chewing the right way. So my son said, she bothers me, Daniel. So he came with me instead to my friend's house, instead of going to my daughter's friend's house with his grandma. So at 1 o'clock also, my mother told me that my daughter had hit her. So I grabbed my daughter aside and I said, come, daughter, you have to make some choices. A, you go live with that uncle in Arizona. B, you go live with that friend of yours. Her name begins with the letter C, I think. C, you go live with Junior. He's a friend of the family's. He's an only child, so he's different. Like, who are you going to fight with if you're an only child? Nobody. All right, D, you go live with your own grandpa, Roberto. And then my son said, he was listening, we have a grandpa? And I said, yes. He's that old man that came here when you were 8 years old. He stayed a few days, maybe 5 days. And then my son was thinking, oh yeah. He's my mother's father, right? And I said, yes, that's your grandpa. Okay. Now, some people out there will say, what? You don't know your grandpa? Because my grandpa, even though he was a cold man to my mother, he was I knew who he was. He was always around with me, you know. All right. Or daughter, you could stay here and risk going to the juvenile jail. And then my daughter says, no, I want my grandmother to leave. So then Anna gets home and I told her what my mother had told me. The spouse doesn't say anything to my daughter. She blames me. Daniel, it's your fault. You were teaching the kids to be disobedient, disrespectful. You used to say to them when they were little, you are U.S. citizens. You don't have to obey anybody. That's true. But it came from me. Listen to my side. I had a co-worker that said, Daniel, you see that piece of paper on the floor? I said, yeah, pick it up. I picked it up. Put it in your mouth. I put it in my mouth. And I was 20 years old, guys. Then he said, what does it taste like? I said, nothing. Oh, I thought it was acid. Spit it out, Daniel. I spit it out. I was so obedient that I had to teach my kids to be disobedient. All right. Then later that day, my mother talks to the spouse and to me and told me that she wants to Baker Act me again for Thanksgiving and for Christmas because she didn't like what I told my daughter. I expected you, Daniel, to tell your daughter to be respectful, to not hit her elders, and instead you're telling her to move out? All right, next paragraph. There she is walking. I told my daughter that her other option is to be a Christian and to say good morning and good night to Grandma and to stay away from Grandma. Also, to not joke around at all, to keep a serious face on all day long, and to stay next to me or to get some surveillance camera so that Grandmother wouldn't be able to throw her into jail. And then my daughter says that Grandma hit her first. All right. So that's where that's going. I've decided I'm not going to take any food to Grandma, and I'm not going to talk to her. Definitely for the rest of this month. Possibly the rest of this year, or maybe even possibly the rest of my life. Because I don't need a person you don't need enemies if you have a mother like this, you know. Oh, I'm gonna go send you to eat turkey for Thanksgiving at the Baker Act place. So I don't need a mother like that. Now, the spouse doesn't want the mother to leave. My mother says she wants to leave, but she doesn't have the money right now. She doesn't have the money right now because she pays the bills here. So, but now I'm different. I'm a different person. I don't smile. In fact, now next time they say they want to have a meeting, I'm taking this video camera. So that, and even if I'm not allowed to show the camera to them, like, oh, don't put me on YouTube or Facebook is what they say. Don't put me anywhere. Alright. So, here's an extra part, separate. The spouse didn't want to read in Spanish to my son tonight because she is angry with Daniel, with me. She said, why do I want him to speak 2 languages like you? And then you don't work, Daniel. But then she finally read to the boy, but she refused to let me record it. I recorded it the day before, you know. One day I told my son, make all of these videos public. Well, the women don't want to make these videos public because, well, I talk about a lot of stuff in here, you know. Private stuff. And the second reason is, I think sometimes they're walking around in shorts, or not the spouse, without a bra or things like that. So or one of them is combing the hair of the other one and stuff like that. Alright, my daughter used baking soda and a lemon to brush her teeth. And guess what happened, guys? All these bubbles came out. Like, she put the baking soda on the toothbrush, and then she squeezed the lemon on it, and then it began to make bubbles. And then my son brushed his teeth, and then I brushed my teeth, and it was bubbling. It was interesting. It's supposed to make your teeth white. You're supposed to do it once a week. My son went to sleep, but did not help me wash the dishes. So I asked the spouse to help me wash the dishes, but she refused and told me to get away from her, and she washed the dishes by herself. And I'm reading a book on LibriVox. It's about, I'm just listening to it, the personality types. The name of the book is How to Analyze People on Sight. And it talks about the muscular, the fat man. All the fat man wants is comfort, food and comfort. I gotta get the others. They use words I don't really know to describe them. I would call it the rabbit, you know, just go, 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 go. And they have lots of energy, but for short amounts of time. So they're good for tennis, sprinting, something sprinting. Alright, here we go. I must get glasses that record all of these problems so that I will have proof that they are bullying me. I told my daughter that I love her and that God loves her. I told my mother to move her bed closer to the bathroom, but she refused. She had told me that she could not walk. So God, please help me with these problems. In Jesus' name, I pray. Alright, so that's my entry. Alright, you can, you will, you must. Talk to you later. Be better than I am. Take care.